my name is Ebony Thompson. I am the city solicitor for Baltimore, which is just a fancy way of saying that I run the law department for the city of Baltimore, and I handle all lawsuits that either come in directed, whether we are sued or someone is harming the city and we are suing them. I represent the mayor, I represent the city council, and the city administrator, and all of our directors in their professional capacities. So that's my background, and I'm happy to be here. And thank you for inviting me.
Well, thank you so much. Yeah, we're really excited about this. And actually, I was talking to some people because of the DC Blockchain Summit and Blockchain Week about
Oh
it.
yeah.
And yeah, and so they're excited too because everybody wants to learn more about what's happening in Baltimore. But before that, I do have more questions about how did you get to where you are now? Can you tell us a bit about your background and then how you first started getting into blockchain?
Sure, absolutely. So I started off actually when I graduated at an econ degree. So I started out in the banking world. So I worked in New York at UBS, and I was rotating through all of the private equities, and my job was pretty much to work for high net worth clients and increase their portfolios. So that was my finance and banking background. And from there, I got into real estate and was buying and selling houses. I came back home. I lived in New York, but I'm born and raised in Baltimore. So I came back home in about 2007. And then I progressed in real estate, and then I eventually went back to law school. And with my law degree, I've been able to basically combine my passions for finance, social tech, real estate, and the law to help my clients out in a myriad of ways. I started my legal career in the private industry at Venable LLP, and I made counsel there. And at the time, the former chairman of the firm was asked to become city solicitor for Baltimore under Mayor Brandon and Scott. And when he moved over, he asked if I would join him as his deputy. I waited a year because of the financial cut it was gonna take. So he allowed me to wait a year to prepare for that. And then I joined him as deputy, and then the next year, um, he retired, and I took over leading the law department, and I was sworn um, in 2024 um, as the first woman, first openly gay city solicitor in our history. And I've been proudly serving the Mayor of Baltimore, Mayor Brandon Scott, and the city since that time. So that's my
Okay, that's awesome. So, what has it been like, being a woman? And you said that you're the first openly gay woman.
yeah,
S-
openly gay person. So
Yeah, openly
first
gay
one to
person.
actually come out. Yeah, it's been amazing. I mean, I'm born and raised here, and it's it's just been, I don't know, just eye opening to be able to work for an administration that values diversity, that values differences, that sees it as a strength, and that really pushes it forward so that we can serve all residents of Baltimore with the same equal opportunity, the same vigor as previous, administrations. And it's just been. I never thought I would be in government, but I can't imagine myself anywhere else since I've been working under this administration with Mayor Scott. So it's actually been amazing. But to really talk about how blockchain got introduced, this was something I was working on in the private sector. I took a course at MIT on blockchain and really like the real world application of that was what it was focused on. And so our introduction to Baltimore really, it was born out of tragedy. So the first day I started with the city was in January of 2000 and oh my goodness, 22, and we had just had three firefighters that lost their lives battling a fire of a vacant property, and it basically collapsed on them. And the mayor didn't look at this as a housing issue, where most people would say, okay, well, this is like the Department of Housing type issue. He called all agencies in and he said, I want solutions to vacant housing. He exempt no one. So my contribution was first for us to create a separate docket for our vacant properties. At that time, we had close to 16,000 vacant properties. And to create a separate docket within the court system because traditionally our vacants were on the traditional foreclosure track. And some of those were like, just to put it in perspective, like 2 to 3 years behind. So by creating a separate docket for them, we were able to get possession of these vacant properties quicker, shortening that time from 2 to 3 months to sometimes 4 to 6 months. And then the solution was let's also record our deeds on chain so that we are forward looking instead of backward looking. Because anybody that's ever closed a property, title searches go back sometimes 50 years, 40, 50 years. And so if our properties are changing hands fairly quickly, to get a vacant property into active use, it's going to change hands about 2 to 3 times within a very short period of time, maybe a year, 2 years. So why are we paying and why are we waiting for a title search, right? That's going to tell us something that maybe happened 6 months ago. It's very inefficient. So this was a great introduction to the city, to blockchain, to show the efficiency of it, and also to separate this whole notion that blockchain is the equivalent to cryptocurrency. But I'm sure we'll get into that. So that was our introduction.
Interesting. Okay. So as far as blockchain, for people who don't know, I mean, to me, and I might be wrong, but I mean, it sounds like the deeds are basically on the blockchain, right? And it's kind of like tokens, tokenization, and in a way, I don't want to say NFTs, but in a way, is that is that basically what you're doing so that then you can track it?
That's the goal, Kellyanne. The tokenization and fractional ownership is that's the goal. That's the next piece. So for us, it was first improving the interoperability, and then we're running a parallel track, and we're going to see which one is more efficient. So this is a way by not disrupting the entire system that the city has built, but at the same time see all of the benefits. So for us, it's purely we're recording. So what we did was we are the source of truth. So we have a memorandum of understanding with the State Department of Archives, and then also we work with the circuit court so that as things are filed on property, so any lien that's filed, it will automatically be recorded on chain as well. So that when you look at our database, it's updated in real time and it's immutable. It's on chain as well. So from that, we are able to take the next step, which is as we are investing in vacant properties and putting hundreds of millions of dollars into disinvested neighborhoods that have not had funding for decades and decades, which is a priority of Mayor Scott, what we're doing is if you have fractional ownership, it allows us to have fractional ownership. So the people that have been traditionally been relegated to renting or maybe not had the funds to buy, they would have the opportunity to participate in fractional ownership, meaning that they can participate in the redevelopment of their neighborhoods instead of it happening to them. And in a lot of cases that we've seen across the country, the result is displacement gentrification. And so Mayor Scott is absolutely against that. And he believes that people that suffered through this disinvestment should be able to participate and benefit from the investment now that's going into those communities. And the fractional ownership piece is what is going to enable us to do that. But we couldn't do that without having our deeds originally on chain. So I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, and I love that. That's one of the things that I've loved for a long time, since I learned about it years ago. And when I think about properties and fractional ownership of buildings and different things like that, I think that's really cool because it's going to open so many opportunities for people.
Absolutely. Absolutely. People that usually don't, they didn't have those opportunities.
Yeah, yeah. So I know the plan isn't in place yet, but can
Mm.
you walk through maybe a little bit of how that might work? Like, say I'm, or you can use me as an example, or or someone else, or something like that, who might
Mhm.
want to like own part of a property. So would this mostly be like maybe apartment buildings or something like that? Or how
Mhm.
could it work? Like, what's kind of the,
Yeah. So the
use
huge,
case?
no, yeah, that's a great question. So usually when we have like larger developments, what happens is a lot of people are looking for funding. They're looking for private funding. So as one of the private funding sources would be raising money through fractional ownership or tokenization. So it would work the same way as you're looking for private investing, right? The investors and the developers that we're working with see this as a huge potential, right? So they won't have to rely as much on banks and they don't have to put up as much money. It's also helping solve one of the, whether you're good or bad at real estate, everyone, one of the main complaints about real estate is the illiquidity of it, right? Getting in and out of positions and being able to get in and get out. And so that's helping alleviate that as well. And we're combining that also with the affordability measures that the mayor has already put in place, city council has already put in place within the city. So it's part of a larger, this is not the only thing that we're doing. This is just one small piece of the $3 billion plan that the mayor has laid out in partnership with the state, in partnership with faith-based communities and, in the business community as well. So it's basically a way, just think of it as raising money that is an alternate way instead of going to banks. So that's how it would work, just how you raise private money. Except that now your ownership shares or tokens would be on chain so that it can't be disputed. It's immutable. All of the characteristics of the benefit of having it on chain, you would have that so that you would own that ownership share and it can be sold, it can be transferred just like anything else.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, that's really cool. So, yeah, I have so many ideas.
I know, and it's
Yeah.
the thing is that Baltimore will be the first municipality to do it. They're the first municipality, we're the first municipality to utilize the technology to combat vacant housing, which is why it's such a hot topic, and they want us to address it. But the great news is that now we have senators within the state that are interested in introducing legislation to support it, and they are seeing the benefits of it. So hopefully, this would more counties would adopt it within Maryland because the whole point is mass adoption. Because the more people that adopt this, it makes not only our project more successful, but all the ones across the country that are looking at creative ways, especially when you're talking about the nationwide crisis of affordable housing. Like you got to think out of the box because it's just way, way, way too expensive for most people to afford.
Yeah. Yeah, and you mentioned faith-based organizations. So, what are the ideas there? I'm wondering, and only because we work with faith-based organizations in the nonprofit that I have sometimes, and actually one is in Baltimore. So I'm
Oh,
asking out.
do you work
Yeah.
with build and rebuild? Because that sounds I was speaking last week in New York at the Black Economic Alliance, and I didn't even know like one of our partners that had been invested in Baltimore was right there. And it was part of this coalition through working through build and rebuild. So I don't know if that's an organization that you work with, but they've actually done developments that have been wildly successful. And it's but it's really just bringing together all of the resources that we have within the city and putting our heads together and coming up with solutions to a problem that has just been plaguing not just the city, but like I said, it's a nationwide problem. But yes, through build and rebuild, we've done developments, and they're definitely part of the mayor's $3 billion plan to move forward to attack all the vacants that are left, which is less than 12,000, by the way. So it was about 16,000 roughly when the mayor really started taking hold of this, and now it's under 12,000. But he's not going to be satisfied until it's zero.
Yeah, yeah, that's really good. Yeah. It's another organization that's forming now and they're in the brainstorming phase. So they're trying to
Oh,
figure out,
okay.
what they can do and how they can help. And we talked
Yeah.
about different things in the past, with blockchain, but since this is new, I was just thinking, oh, well, so it could be interesting for them what they want to do. But yeah, yeah. I think this is really exciting. And so, as time goes on and, over the next 5 to 10 years, where do you see this going? And do you see, and I know already cities want to copy you. So, but do you think that they, I mean, I know already, but, like, my question was, like, do you think more cities will adopt similar technology?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, this is the thing. It's not even to me. It's not even copying. I speak with many municipalities because, like I said, this is not even a. It's not even a race or anything. It is once we have mass adoption, all of our projects are going to do better. So it's in Baltimore's best interest for other cities to adopt the technology. Think of ways that we haven't even thought of it yet. Right? I always believe that the best thoughts haven't even been thought of yet, right? The best ideas, they haven't even come up yet. And they can tell me some things that we're missing and we can learn from other people in other municipalities, other counties. But yes, I've talked to a lot of counties that are looking and working with our vendor, Medici Land Governance, that literally us build this chain from the ground up. Um, they were granted. I know they have they're working in Chicago now, Miami, San Francisco. So these are just some of the cities that are looking to adopt the technology. And I willingly talk to, if I have time, especially at conferences, and I'm sure you'll be there on Wednesday as well at the DC Blockchain Summit, and I'll be speaking with them as well. And so we're trading, just ideas and things that we've learned. But to answer your question, the 5 to 10 years, I would love to see this integrated more into our interoperability. So, for example, the city has, as you know, we do contracting and we have primes, right? That people that we contract with, and then they have subs, right? And so the city is not in privity of contract, meaning we're not in contract with the subcontractors. But sometimes there, maybe 2, 3 years ago, where we had to disbar one of our primes for not properly paying a subcontractor. And sometimes, I think in this particular instance, it was over a year. So if these are minority contractors, minority businesses, women business, small businesses, they cannot afford to hold a whole year and not get paid. So I would love to institute smart contracting, right? Smart contracts. So it would be self-executing so that when we get paid, when they get paid, the primes get paid by the city, as long as they've done the work and they checked off that box, boom, it's self-executing, they will get paid as well. So we can kind of eliminate that. But right now we don't have that capability because we're not in privy of contract. But if we set up a smart contract, that's another way I would love the technology to be used. I would love for it to be integrated into the permitting system so that everyone will know exactly where things stand, where the trajectory is, and then also it allows us to move quicker. And then I think it's a stream of income for this city where we can have expedited permitting and actually be able to deliver on that. So there's a lot of interoperability and also streamlining of the work that we do, as well as making it easier for residents in terms of if you pull up, once you verify who you are and that's your property, everything that happens with that property, it could be on that one database. So whether it's water, property taxes, permits, anything that has to do with your property, you could get an alert. And then also the city could get an alert if it's an aging property, meaning that the property hasn't changed in 20, 30 years. And it can alert us to make us know, hey, this may be a vacant property, or it may have the potential to be a vacant property. So we can start being proactive to eliminate properties even becoming vacant and having to deal with them once they become vacant, so we can take care of it ahead of time. So those are just some of the larger things I would like to do. But right now, we're also integrating it in terms of with the law department, blockchain and AI. We're building systems so that they actually help us now with our cases. So blockchain is now part of how I evaluate certain things and using AI and things like that. So it's all going to be connected, definitely within our department to help us be more efficient and to serve our residents better.
Yeah, it's amazing how, I know years ago when I was first getting started in blockchain and crypto and everything, and like I didn't even think about AI and blockchain working
Yep.
together, but now that's what's happening. you know, and so it's really exciting time
And you've been
you're
doing this for a
doing.
long time. Yeah, you've been doing this for a long time. So I don't know.
Kinda.
Yeah, you've been doing this for a long time, so I'm a fan. I'm definitely a fan.
I kind of have. I guess it's at this point been 10 years, but I
Wow.
really, really got into it about 6 years ago though. But yeah, I can't even believe it's been 10 years. Makes
Right.
me feel old and ancient or something. There are things happening now that, weren't even happening. I mean, the only thing back then was like Bitcoin. I mean, I didn't even know about really blockchain 10 years ago, but it was the Bitcoin, that everyone was talking about. But
Oh
yeah.
man.
So, but yeah, I mean, this is inspiring and this is, I mean, I think this is, amazing what you are doing with blockchain in Baltimore and with housing. And so, you're inspiring to so many people, including us. And so I'm, wondering for anyone, for women or anyone interested in getting into technology like this or, doing what you do someday, what type of advice would you give them about getting into, blockchain, public policy, or public sector technology or anything like that?
Oh, yeah, that's a great question, and I think you kinda hit on this a little bit. Because it changes so much, you literally could just get started now, right? Because as you know, even though we've been doing this for a little bit, you've been doing it longer than me, you have to constantly stay up on it because it changes, and you think you know it, and then it evolves, and you think you know it, and then it evolves. I think it's always a good time. So if you're thinking that you're interested in it, it's something to take to a conference. Hear what people are doing, hear what's going to spark their interest, and you'll find because it's integrating in so many different ways. Right now, we're looking at the use cases. So find what really um, sticks with you, and then you can kind of go down that path. But find the area that it's working at that interests you the most, and then just find out about that because these conferences, like I said, I've only been going what 5 years, and each one I go to is just it's like lightning years, just year by year. And the things that we were talking about 5 years ago are not what we were talking about, but just like you were saying, the integration with AI, it's just, taking it on steroids. Blockchain and AI are just like magnificent.
Yeah, I know people always, think that I'm an expert or something, and I'm like, no, because something that happened today, and I don't even know what it is, or there's like a new token that's being used for something, and I'm learning about it, like this week, and it's been happening for the past few months, and it's already a thing.
Yep. It's
Oh
already,
yeah,
yep, it's already, yep.
yeah. I mean, you really have to be on your toes, I guess. Is one thing that I normally tell people, and like what you did with MIT and doing that, I think, that's a good route to go too is, getting some good background and learning the basics first because there's so much out there and you want to learn the foundation
Yeah.
first. When I dove into it, like during lockdowns, I was literally like, what is happening? I learned on Twitter Spaces. So I was learning all kinds of crazy
Wow.
things. And that's where I really started. And then, because, before you couldn't learn anywhere except from people or talking or asking questions. Now it's good that there are some courses and things, like SheFi and the different MIT courses and
Yes,
things that I've seen. Yeah. Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah, so if people want to keep up with, what you're doing, what's the best way they follow you on social media or follow the city or a little bit of both?
Yeah, yeah, definitely following the city, and I'm only on LinkedIn. I don't do social media outside of LinkedIn, because I like to keep all of my free time for cases and to help the city. But I'm on LinkedIn, and anything significant, I don't post that often, but things that are significant, I will put up there. And then through the city, of course, the mayor's press releases and things like that. If we have big things like that, that'll always be there as well. I think those two sources, you can definitely keep up with everything the city of Baltimore is doing.
Okay. All right. Well, that sounds good. And we'll be seeing you soon. We'll be seeing you on Wednesday.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, have a board of estimates meeting in the morning, but I'm driving right down after that, and I'll be in DC that afternoon.
Okay. All right. Sounds
All right,
good. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you
all
so
right,
much for
Kellyanne.
doing this. I know you're so busy. Yeah.
No, 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 no. I'm a fan, so thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. All right. Well, have a good rest of the
Okay,
day.
okay, you too. All right, bye bye.
Yeah.